Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore, where we will talk about the dusk. Now, you may recall that in the last episode, it is now eternal night. Everything is really, really bad. And so that's why we have this final story where we have a normal tanner named Algly. Now, Algly, her whole deal is that I'll just call her Al. Al, her whole deal is that she was a tanner with her husband. They lived a normal life, and then everything went really, really bad because they live on Innistrad where everything is terrible. And so she was actually really good at her job. She could turn any skin into leather armor, a pouch, a wineskin, whatever somebody wanted, she could do it. But that's basically irrelevant when everybody's dead.
It's like, how well can I work with human skin?
Yeah, exactly. And so she's kind of lost, and then she finds a guy. This guy, also her husband's dead, but this guy named is Lucio. And Lucio basically starts preaching about a thing called the Buried Lord. And he has this book with forbidden rites. And he's like, with this, they can slay the ghoul caller that's been haunting them, and they can do whatever they need to do. Geists, ghouls, necromancers. The Buried Lord does not care. He does not parley with those who disturb his domain. If someone else is doing something with the dead, the Buried Lord will end them. And that's perfect. That's exactly what they need. And so you have three people as a part of this cult. You have Algly, you have Sruta, and you have Lucio, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the three of them, they start going through here. Lucio, you could, the artwork they use for him, it's funny because they use artwork for both Algly and Lucio that don't quite match up. But Graveyard Trespasser, the werewolf card, the black werewolf, is what they use for Algly's appearance. Which, I mean, it fits if you just ignore the fact there's a werewolf on the other side. And then they use Ecstatic Awakener for Lucio, which also kind of makes sense because it's a demon summoner. And the Buried Lord is definitely a demon. And so they put down like the ritual, and they go to a place, and there's like they're doing all the sacrificing and stuff like that. They got goat's blood, all that thing, right? And the three of them are all there, and nothing happens. They do all the rites, they do all their sacrifices, and they use all the stuff. And Sruta's like, yeah, this isn't going to work, is it? And Lucio's like, it should have worked. We did everything. And the two of them leave. And Algly just lays down in the ashes, in the burned ashes and the blood runes and the starveling goat. They had literally spent months of saving to be able to buy this worthless goat. And there's nothing to show for it. And she just wants to die, so she just lays in the ashes, hoping that death will come for her eventually. And it says here, the embers of sacrificial fire dimmed and left her in darkness, and she realized that she was not alone. Behind her, there was rustling, breathing. And she says, no, it's not a geist, it's not a ghoul, because they don't breathe. It could be a bandit, a corpse monger, but they would have attacked her because she was defenseless. And then the memory of hope rose in her. And she thought, could this be him? Could this be the Buried Lord? Could he have just waited to show up? And so she placed her hand on the hilt of a sacrificial dagger.
It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
And she sees a dark-haired woman. And she's sitting on a rotting log, just out of reach. And she's in a warrior's padded gambus. Her hand is on her side. And it's covering a dark stain. So on her side, there's a wound. And her other hand is resting on a long pronged spear. It looks very old. It's all very ancient.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks older than anything she'd ever seen in the church when she used to go. And then she thinks, this could be a robber. They may have perhaps wounded Lucio or Sruta. Wounded by them, I mean. But she could tell this person, this was something else. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so the strange woman looks at her. I mean you no harm. Your rights. Do you know what you have called forth? And she's someone that can bring silence, that can protect her from vampires, werewolves. They're deathless. She's like, yes, they are deathless. But the Buried Lord has never been one to protect. He is here and he is hungry. And then in the flickering of the light, Algly can see that there are shadows behind the woman, white and gray. And the shadows unfurled, into a raptor's wings. And she realizes she's looking at an angel. And she's like, excuse me? And she goes, are you here to judge me? Not to judge, to parlay. I spoke with demons once. I was wind and I was silence. You will forgive me watching your sorrow and saying nothing. She goes, well, why are you here? She goes, I know as well as you. I was compelled to answer your call. She goes, are you the buried lord? And she goes, no, I too once sought parley with him, to calm the undead, to banish Geist, to bring peace. All that he has said and written, be not mistaken, the silence he brings is only to amplify his own voice. The shroud he lays only to muffle and bind others. The only joy in his stifled world is the joy he feels. And then Owgly's like, my family's dead. So if he can ensure their rest, he goes, you too deserve rest in your life. The angel tells her. And to be heard without bloodshed. And so they kind of keep going on about this and talking about like the idea of saviors and how this creature is not what she needs. And they talk about wisdom, second deaths and stuff like that. And then she says, because she mentions her absence, the angel does. Tell me while you work, what has befallen Innistrad in my absence? And she goes, did you go mad with the other angels? She goes, no rest, even for the divine. And she goes, no, I was killed. And she's just like, what? She goes, I wandered, was scattered on the winds. You and your fellows were correct in one thing, the buried lord does not die. And it seems that as consequence of my dealings with him, neither will I. As for my sisters, you say they are mad? She goes, no longer mad, just dead. Many lost. But the flight of herons remains, none to protect us. And then she explains everything about the travails and all that. And then she talks about how Lucio figured everything out. And she says, you need not believe me to walk beside me, Owgly. Even if it is merely to guide me to your lord, tonight you must raise your torch and your dagger to save yourself. I am Liesa, Archangel, who once led the flight of dusk. Come, Owgly. For the future of Innistrad, let us rebury this lord. And so we have what follows. Again, read it yourself. It's fantastic.
It's Liesa. It's going to be fantastic.
But they find him, and the buried lord is killing Lucio and has already killed Sruta. And it's basically just the two of them fighting. And the buried lord is like Liesa the Duskwinged. What a pleasure to see an old friend here of all places. And all this is happening. Sruta's dead. They fight. And eventually, I'm going to skip over it. It's very good. But Liesa is able to defeat the buried lord. But there's a problem. Joe, what is it about Liesa and the buried lord that might be problematic?
They're beings of mana, or they had a pact?
They had the pact. And because of that, the buried lord actually won't dissipate like a normal demon.
Oh.
Yeah. And so basically his corpse is just sitting here, and all it's going to take is a bit of time for him to come back, something to happen, right? And it says Owgly rolled free from the demon's claws. Hold on. Okay, right here. She says, his body should have dissolved. Perhaps he has material so long as I am. Bound to the world, I hesitate to leave his remains here. We know what power it might still might. And then Owgly says, carry him with you. I can forge him into your armor. A body is leather and bone, isn't it? I was a tanner. We haven't let anything to waste these days. I've got Lucio's books, Ruta's stools. Let me serve you, my lady Liesa. You've saved my life. And so she goes, it's not fealty I seek, but an alliance. A host renewed and reborn. And Liesa just kind of puts her spear in the mud. She goes, an alliance to bring not stifling silence, but peaceful balance to this wounded world. A chorus of voices, known and heard. Will you aid me in this cause, Owgly? And with a gasp, Owgly fell to her knees again, not in pain, not in grief, but in hope, before her glimmering angel. You have it. As I breathe in hope, my lady Liesa, you have me as your ally, as long as I live. Liesa had returned at the darkest hour, a time of struggle, called by the desperate and the lost. More and worse lay before them, this small covenant. In the cold moonlight, Liesa felt that old hope rekindled in these words, in their shared knowledge, an oath of grief, an oath of hope. In a world of endings, here, at last, came a new beginning.
Love it. Oh my gosh.
What's cool is that this is why Liesa's outfit looks slightly different than
I
it
was
does.
gonna say, just like, is this why she has the new armor? Is she wearing a demon?
She's wearing demon. She has
I
demon
love it.
armor. It's so good.
It's so fitting for her too. This is the best.
And this is how the actual Midnight Hunt stories ended, was with Liesa being reborn thanks to a demonic ritual that brought this angel back. And with her, we can most likely expect to see the Flight of Dusk basically be reborn.
Sigarda doesn't hate her, does she?
No. And there's a part that I skipped where she hopes that she'll have a chance to talk to her sister and try to like repair things. And then Sigarda during the Eldritch Moon said that she wished she had one more time to talk to her sister before she had died, so she could.
So we're gonna have a good heartfelt reunion with Buttercup and Bunny.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping is that maybe we'll see a commander set where we'll have an Abzan angel that'll be both Sigarda and Liesa working together, because I feel like that'd be.
That's what I want for a commander set. I want, you know, like Rem Careless and Vadric, Sigarda and Liesa. It's like duo cards from Innistrad would be the best commanders I could think of. But no, this story was awesome. Next time we talk, we go into Crimson Vow. So don't miss that. Go ahead and leave a like if you like the video, and subscribe. Don't miss that, because I still don't know why Ludovic had a card in this set. Bye, guys.